Hello everybody and welcome back to today's marvelous new video. I've missed you, it's been a while, but I'm back, and today we're discussing time travel theories. If you're ready, buckle in and let's get started. Now, this whole thing about time travel started way back in this year that I don't remember because I haven't written it in my notes, but I will look it up and I'll have it right here. Anyways, it started from the fiction book, The Time Machine, written by Herbert Wells in this year. And then it slowly developed from there, resulting to whatever we have at the moment. So many theories and so many more ones that seem possible than others. So this is what this video is going to discuss. We're going to discuss the more possible ones and the not so possible ones. We're going to discuss a lot of them, I think 7 or 8 in total, ranging from traveling in the past and in the future. So starting with the past, we have about 5 to discuss, and mind you, they're all just theories, so nothing has been actually proven scientifically. These are theories that have been gathered from movies, sciences, theories, and just ideas that have been put out there by not necessarily even scientists, just normal people or film creators or whatever. So feel free to take everything with a pinch of salt, and yeah, let's start with number 1. On number 1, we have the one-way time travel. It is supposedly when an individual or a person travels in time, however, they cannot really come back to point A. So if they leave point A, that is just said and done. And even if they were to come back, it would have been years and years and years later that all of their loved ones are already dead or significantly aged, so they pretty much lose their life at point A if they were to choose point B. At number 2, we have instantaneous time travel. It is basically when an individual travels instantaneously between 2 points in time-space. We'll mostly call them points A and B. So when a person travels from point A to point B instantaneously, which means the use of portals, wormholes, or even time machines. The next one is very interesting, and it happened in the Harry Potter movie when Hermione just stood there and time went past her. She did nothing to trigger this, or I think she triggered this. I'm not quite sure. I haven't watched the Harry Potter movie. Don't stone me to death. But yeah, I haven't. I don't really feel like watching it too, so whatever. This is not our topic. Anyways, Hermione essentially just stood in her place and time just went past her, basically. And she just traveled back in time. It is basically one other type of time traveling, although it seems very unlikely to be replicated by normal human beings because we're not in a Harry Potter movie. Anyways, to the next one. The next one is slow time travel. Now, I don't know if you remember this, but very back in the day, at the very start of, not the very start, around, I'd say, 2011, 2012 YouTube. Do you remember when people used to get into boxes to supposedly travel in time? Now, this is the theory, and this is the one we're talking about. Supposedly, there is this, I'm guessing, very specific box, okay? That every minute spent in the box is time traveled in the past. So as much time as you'd want to travel in the past, you'd stay in this box and then come out after, I don't know, after your desired time and either fix something or do something and stuff like that. It's mostly for like fixing mistakes, if you will. We'll talk more about this later on in the video and how this it never fixes anything, and you can't really fix anything in time-space. But for now, moving on. The next one is the most famous, I would say. At least it is the one I've heard about the most. I've heard the most physicists, scientists discuss this and talk about this, because apparently it makes the most sense, and it is travel by speed light. So supposedly, if we were to create some sort of vehicle that can sustain massive amounts of speed whilst also containing a human inside of it, so it should be from a material that can sustain high amounts of speed, like the speed of light, which is the number I'll pop right here, because I don't want to say that. Anyways, so if this material could sustain this speed with a human being, with protecting the human being inside of it, it is when time will start rewinding itself, and by that achieve time travel. As if right now, however, only 1% of the speed of the light is considered achievable, which is this number. This is the 1% of this number right here. So only this speed is considered achievable with the amount of technology we have. Nevertheless, it is still considered one of the best and most likely ways to achieve time travel, if you will. Unlike Isaac Newton, Albert Einstein thought that time flow changes depending on two main factors, gravity and speed. And this theory is known as the time dilation theory. And this is the part of the research that, to be honest, was so fun to me. I enjoyed this way too much. Although I'm not a physicist, I don't know if I could ever be, to be honest. Who knows? I'm not gonna say no, but I'm certainly not a physicist now. But I do try my best. So I hope you're keeping up with me. I tried to make it as easy and as understandable and digestible as possible. So yeah, so the time dilation theory, I guess, is not a theory anymore, because it's essentially been proven, because the satellites we have around the Earth actually always go out of sync. So scientists have to constantly be adjusting and resyncing these clocks on the GPS satellites back to Earth timing. So that proves that speed, I guess, I guess speed is a factor in time travel. But what about gravity, you might ask? Gravity is basically the moving towards an object that has a stronger gravitational force. So either moving the Earth next to the sun, perhaps, because it has so much more gravitational force than the Earth has, or maybe even Jupiter. By that we can achieve time travel, and not necessarily move the whole Earth, but maybe get yourself in a vehicle that can transport you near Jupiter, and then you can time travel and maybe come back to Earth. I don't know what you're trying to do, dude. But anyways, you could also go towards the heaviest thing in our universe, which are the black holes. Now, if you haven't seen my video about the black holes, I'll post it in the eye right here, or I think it's right here, I'm not quite sure. Anyways, either way, it's gonna be up there and it's gonna be linked down below. Go watch that video. It's very fun, I'd say, and it's a very dumbed down version of black holes. But essentially, if you can manage to get yourself in a vehicle again that can sustain you and the speed and the gravity of a black hole, just to get next to it, you will most likely time travel, and then perhaps you can get yourself back to Earth. However, escaping a black hole is very much unlikely, just like I explained in this video, that you should definitely go watch right after this one. this next tidbit gets very, very interesting. So I hope you're sitting down, you have a snack in your hand, and I'm gonna try my best to explain it. So essentially, let's assume that time-space is a mesh fabric, right? With our planets right on it, okay? So essentially, we need a very strong gravitational force. Not the normal gravitational force, we need the anti-gravitational force, which is a kind of negative energy. We need massive, massive amounts of these energy to cause a rip in our mesh fabric, which is our space-time, which essentially creates a wormhole, flipping time-space back on itself, creating the time travel wormhole that we can just jump in and time travel to the past. However, there's one thing about this theory. The harvesting of such massive amounts of anti-gravitational forces is pretty much unheard of. Like, there's no way that scientists can think of harvesting that amount of energy. So for now, this is just a theory, a very interesting one nonetheless. Now, let's assume we do travel to the past somehow, some way. From any other theories we've discussed in this video, we do manage to travel in the past. However, traveling to the past comes with its own hurdles and paradoxes. By that, I mean, let's assume this person, this individual decides, I'm gonna travel to the past, right? And he somehow, some way, using one of the theories we just discussed, he does travel in the past, okay? And he ends up killing his great-great-grandfather. Knowingly, unknowingly, who knows? He just ends up killing him. So, looking at that, he shouldn't exist at that point, right? He'd either just disappear into thin air or just stay there weirdly and just wonder, why does he exist, right? So of course, to explain that, we have the theory of the multiverse. And oh my god, I'm so excited to talk about this. I cannot even. If you haven't heard of this theory yet, where have you been? But also, I'll tell you, so it's okay. Anyways, it talks about how at every single big or small decision you make, there is another Earth, another you in another universe, okay, that has chosen the action that you didn't choose to do, or chosen the t-shirt color that you didn't choose to wear that day. Even the small little things count. So even the smallest little choices causes ruptures in universes, creating new universes that haven't chosen the thing you have chosen in this universe. So basically, imagine all your life choices, all of them, even you being a 7-year-old not wanting to wear that black shoes. Imagine a 7-year-old you that wore that black shoes, but in another universe. That's how many universes supposedly are there. Now, to backtrack a little bit and bring back the great-great-grandfather and the great-great-grandson situation, the great-great-grandson still existing even after he killed his own great-great-grandfather could be explained in two different ways. The first one is the multiverse theory that we just talked about, and the second one is the predestination paradox. Now, this is so exciting too. I'll tell you about it. This theory talks about no matter how much you try to change history, it is always predestined, and the action of you traveling to the past and trying to change an action or an event would only lead to you being a part of that event, and raises the possibilities of you being the cause of the event. So it wouldn't change anything about the event, it would still happen. So let's assume that, God forbid, one of your friends got into an accident, right? and you decide, you know what, I'm gonna just do whatever I have to do, travel to the past and stop that friend from getting into that car accident, right? So you happen to do that, you do travel to the past, you're there, and instead of stopping the car crash, you happen to become a part of it, right? And you could even be the cause of the car crash, essentially reinforcing that history is predestined and no one or nothing can change it. Now, all of this has been about traveling to the past, but what about traveling to the future? Now, I don't know what was wrong, but I couldn't find much about traveling to the future. Apparently, it's harder. I could only find like one solid way you could travel to the future, which is a cryosleeping. If you didn't watch Oxygen on Netflix, it's a pretty similar theory. It's a pretty similar idea. Essentially, you get into a hibernation state and just stay asleep for a long period of time, like a long period of time. And then let's say 20 years from now, you just decide that you want to get up. I'm not quite sure how that's supposed to go. Let's say if we have a company that does this, we just assume NASA might do this. Maybe they would like have you sign something that your hibernation state should end by 20 whatever, right? Anyways, it sounds very much out there, but NASA has indeed been working on something very similar that is apparently called the status chamber. So would you want to get into that? I don't know. I feel like that's, you know what I want to see? I want to see so many people do it and be successful, and then I can do it. Maybe, perhaps, I don't know. Anyways, that was the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you can't tell, this video was so fun for me to film. I loved every single second. I love talking about physics, although it takes me a really long time to research because, you know, it's just harder for me to get the concepts sometimes because I'm not a physics major, obviously. Oh my god, I kind of wish I was, but I'm not. So maybe sometime in the future, who knows, I might be a physics major. I don't know, maybe. But anyways, I'll see you in my next video. Goodbye.